Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Belmont Journal, your source for news about Belmont and community updates. So we're back to our weekly show this week. Besides our regular recurring interviews with Joanna Tzouvelis of the Belmont Citizen-Herald and Franklin Tucker, editor of the Belmontonian, we also have an interview with Brandon Fitz, Belmont Recreation Assistant Director, and we'll be talking with Amy Kirsch and Shana Wang of Belmont Helps. And I'm Mike Crowley, your host this week. In August, the Belmont Public Schools hired its first Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director. Chantel Washington has started work this week. We welcome her to the community and look forward to updates on her efforts. Also, the Select Board has approved the appointment of an Age-Friendly Action Committee. Its purpose is to implement the recommendations of the Age-Friendly Advisory Council. Volunteers are needed to serve on the committee. If interested, please contact the Select Board's office at 617-993-2610 or go online to belmont-ma.gov to find out more. To pay tribute to all those who lost their lives in the 9/11 attacks on America 20 years ago, Belmont firefighters will wear a special memorial badge during the month of September. Fire Chief David DeStefano states that firefighters purchase these badges on their own as a way of paying respect for those killed in the attacks and to show the families that were left behind that we will never forget the sacrifices made that day. Many firefighters and others who worked in the rescue and recovery operation are afflicted with all types of illnesses and suffer to this day as a result of their efforts to help during that emergency. And now we're joined by Joanna Tzouvelis, senior multimedia journalist with the Citizen-Herald, to talk about the local news. So good to see you again, Joanna.
Good to see you too, Mike. Thank you.
All right, so I understand that you have for us an update on the 40B at Beatrice Circle.
Yes, I do. I'll just give a little bit of background about this project. The Zoning Board of Appeals has been considering the application for a 40B development proposed for a single-family lot located at 91 Beatrice Circle. It's 12 units, 12 four-bedroom units on a single-family lot. And the public hearings closed on August 2nd. Since then, the zoning board has been deliberating on their decision. They have a draft decision. They are not going to deny it completely.
Okay.
Deny it completely, then the developer can appeal it with the Housing Board of Appeals, and then they don't come back to the town for any permits at all. They can just build it the way they want it. So they're trying to avoid that from happening, and to do that, they're approving it with conditions, and the conditions, Mike, are really changing the size of the project, because that has been the concern since day one for the zoning board as well as the abutters, is the size of the project, the massing, and how close it is to the abutters in the rear and on the sides. So one of the major changes that is going to be part of this draft decision is the rear setback. The developer wanted it to be 12 feet from the closest abutter, and the zoning board is changing it to 30. Keep in mind that the town zoning bylaw actually requires a 40-foot minimum setback, so it's still 10 feet less than what the town zoning bylaw requires. And so what basically they're asking the developer to move the project more towards frontage street, which is the access road, where there's no abutters that will be affected, and keep it further away from the person in the rear. And last night, which was September 2nd, they gave the developer the opportunity to submit a new design, because the developer said, we'll give you a 60-day extension on your decision, because the decision has to be voted on by September 13th. But the developer said, we'll give you an extension of 60 days if you'll work with us. Work with us. Let's try to find a middle ground here, because obviously they don't want like all the conditions that are being set. So they want to try to work with the zoning board and see if they can come to a middle ground.
Okay.
However, the zoning board said, okay, but will you give us a new design in that 60-day period? And the developer has basically said, no, we will not.
So what does this mean, Joanna? I mean, does
So,
this mean?
right. It basically means the zoning board is going to go forward with their decision. They were granted a 30-day extension now. There will be no new design submitted by the developer, and it's going to be approved with these conditions, which, like I said, they've really changed the size. It will be a totally different project, a smaller project. The developer doesn't want to do a smaller project. There's no doubt about that. So what's going to happen, Mike, and October 7th is when the board will be voting on this. So after that, most likely the developer will appeal this with the Housing Board of Appeals. And then the Housing Board of Appeals will decide, does the zoning board have a point here? Maybe there wasn't enough open space in this, as it was proposed by the developer. Maybe there wasn't enough open space for the residents living there. And that's an important factor. People living in a development, especially a 40B development, should have open space on their property. And the way this was proposed, it really didn't have sufficient open space.
So Joanna, the Housing Board of Appeals, this is a state entity, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just so you know, so the Housing Board of Appeals could say, okay, well, you have to go with some of the conditions, but throw out some of the others. Or
Right.
say, we agree with the zoning board. I'm not sure what's going to happen. But then what could happen, Mike, is there is a lawyer representing the abutters for this project. So the abutters of the project can also appeal. And then this could go to, I believe it's the Supreme Court. So they're not going to be building anytime soon here. There's going to be no breaking ground anytime soon. Just that's all I can say at this point, because it's going to be going through an appeals process, most likely.
Okay, so no construction anytime soon, and most likely there will be a series of appeals taking
Right.
place. All right, well, thank you, Joanna. We'll see you next time.
You're welcome.
All right. On August 13th, the 70 tenants of the 125 Trapelo Road condominium building were evacuated because of structural issues. Now, more than 2 weeks later, the building has been cleared for reoccupation. And we understand that everyone gets to go home tomorrow. So that's great news. But in the meantime, Belmont Helps has been spearheading aid to those who were displaced. The Belmont Journal's Maribel Carvajal de Salazar talks with Amy Kirsch and Shana Wang of Belmont Helps about those efforts.
Thank you, Amy and Shana, for joining us today. After 2 weeks of the news of a family building in 125 Trapelo Road, the families have been displaced, and we want to learn more about their situation. And we have breaking news. Go ahead, Amy.
Well, breaking news, we were just alerted that the building is safe for occupancy as of tomorrow after a few safeguards are put into place. So we're so happy that the families we've been helping for the past 2 weeks will be able to go back into the building this weekend, hopefully, according to this letter that we just received. So we'll see. I'm really happy to report that. In the meantime, Belmont Helps has been so busy the past 2 weeks helping them. So this is great news. And we can tell our whole team and the people that we're helping. So we're really thrilled about this. Belmont Helps has been busy helping them with all sorts of resources, including furniture to move into their new places. Some of them did already move. So we'll have to find out. I think they broke their lease to do that. So we'll still be housing some of them and making sure that they have enough furniture and things, but it sounds like they'll be able to move some of their current furniture. So that changes our processes completely. This is all so new.
That is really great news. And Shana, can you tell us what have Belmont Help have been doing with them?
So we've actually been meeting with other organizations, including the town, in the past few weeks on a regular basis. And we've been sort of pointing people in the community to donate for the hotel housing for those that are temporarily displaced and have no other place to go. And during this time, we also had accumulated a ton of luggages and bins because some of those residents needed to go back to the building and they had only very little time to gather their items. And so so the community really came together and just donated a bunch of containers and luggages for them to be able to get some necessary items from their apartment.
So after this amazing happy news for all these families, what's going to be next for them?
Next for them will be helping the families that have already moved, because they have new leases and we're going to have to help them with whatever process they're in. They did come from a crisis. We had to lose their housing and move in an urgent matter without their belongings. So we're still in that. We're still supporting that and still raising funds for that.
So what's next for Belmont Helps?
Belmont Helps is here. We're here for all the crises that come up and also helping with groceries every week for those that are in need of more food support. So please do continue to donate to our efforts, help our efforts, and we're so appreciative to everyone that does.
Thank you. And where can they contribute?
Please join. We have both a Facebook page and a Facebook group. The Facebook page is where we put something a little bit more sensitive than the page, but you should definitely join both. And then if you go to belmonthelps.org, you could sign up to be a volunteer, and then you get our emails that come out when we do need some urgent help. So we're so thankful to the whole community. It does take a village, and Belmont is that village. It's amazing. So thank you to everyone that stepped in the past couple of weeks and this year.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Shana. This was a very well done community effort, and we appreciate your work. This was News Now. I'm your host, Maribel Carvajal de Salazar. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to This Week in the Belmontonian, and we are joined by Franklin Tucker, editor of the Belmontonian, which you can find online at belmontonian.com. So welcome back, Franklin.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm here in my new office over at Starbucks on Trapelo Road.
How about that? Speaking of Trapelo Road, let's talk about parking on Concord Avenue.
Yes, there's temporary parking for 100 students. So it was approved by the select board this week. And also 2 temporary drop-off and pickup spots have been also approved. Most of all of the student, and this is 100 student parking places. These are also temporary for only 2 years, and that's going to be along the northern edge of or the westbound portion of Concord Avenue. They're going to be close to the school. The pickup points will be on both sides of Concord Avenue near the entrance, and they've already been lined, and there will be police there and crossing guards to help people along. I know that this was controversial for some people because they felt that the 200 spaces was a little too much, especially when you have students on Concord Avenue, young drivers. And they're also, as Mark Boello, one of the select board members, he was a little worried that parents are just going to park anywhere. They're not going to use the official drop-off pickup points. But I think everybody's just willing to, let's see what happens. And, if changes are needed, they'll be needed. So the best thing for people to do is if you don't have kids going over to the high school, the new high school, which will be opening this week, which is fantastic. You should avoid it. There's going to be a lot, and there's also the new signal, the new signal on Godin and Concord Avenue is now running, and it seems to be working pretty well.
All right. Well, that sounds good, Franklin. We're also looking forward to some changes on Pleasant Street. What do we expect to see there?
That's right. Pleasant Street is the one place where we can see development. We have 2 marijuana dispensaries that are going to be going in there, but now we're seeing a big redevelopment along Pleasant Street, and that is at Citywide. I should say Cityside Subaru. Right now, they have a dealership, but they are going to be building one of the largest Subaru dealership buildings in the country. And they're going to be putting 40,000, there's going to be a new 40,000 square foot, 3-story dealership along Pleasant Street. And it's going to be one of the more modern ones with a big showroom and amenities and over 20 service bays. So it's going to be big and busy, and it's coming before the planning board on, I believe, Thursday this week. That should be interesting to see how people react to that. Especially, I think it's going to depend on it will depend on traffic. How much traffic is going to be coming up to this new dealership?
Now, what do we expect to see in terms of process after the planning board meeting?
Well, then this is the big thing. That's the whole thing. We're going to see a lot of meetings, but also remember this: Citywide Subaru, just before the pandemic hit, asked for variances for height and for and the number of stories in that, and also about lot coverage. Does that mean how much of the lots they can use? They got variances for that, but they still need design and site review. So it's going to be a process, and it could be a long one.
All right. So no construction is imminent.
No, not for a while.
All right. And what's happening with COVID these days, Franklin?
Well, as you know, the Delta variant, which is very infectious, is still around, and it's affecting Belmont as it's affecting all the other parts of the country. We don't have any additional deaths, so that's good. But the number of people who are getting it in our town has been increasing, and it's a worry that that the health department has indicated to the select board. And I think what we're also going to see is that the with schools opening, and especially the elementary schools with children who are not vaccinated, there's always going to be that worry: are we going to see a spike? And if that spike is big enough, are we going to go back to remote learning? And that is something that people are worried about.
All right, Franklin. Well, thank you for the updates, and we'll be talking again soon.
Thank you.
Now we're joined by Brandon Fitz, Assistant Director of the Belmont Recreation Department. Thank you, Brandon, for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back, Mike. It's always a pleasure.
Well, thank you. So let's talk about your upcoming fall programming. What can Belmont look forward to?
Absolutely. So again, thanks for having me back. We are the busiest little rec department around, and we have a lot of fun stuff queued up for the fall. In short, we opened up registration earlier this week, September 1st, for all of our fall programming. As far as our youth programming is concerned, and all the favorites, parkour, super soccer stars, knucklebones are all back, and registration's filling up fast. However, I think, I was
going to ask, how about adult education?
Yes, I was going to say, but the big news is the adult education piece. So we've been working with our partners over at the school department for a while now, and we are excited to announce that we're the new home of adult education, which is very exciting. We're going to be branching out into the world of adult programming.
So, Brandon, this is a big change compared to previous years, isn't it?
Yeah, so traditionally, we have been focusing from a programmatic standpoint more on like the youth and preschool programs, among other things. We have the rink and the pool and the parks, but program-wise, youth programs. So this is going to be the first time that we're really venturing out into the world of adult programming.
So what are some of the new classes people can sign up for?
Sure. So everything is still a little bit in the works. Where again, I think with any transition, it takes a little bit of time to roll things over. But everyone's been really helpful and talking with previous instructors and new instructors. So right now, we're kind of working on a pilot program for the fall. So it might be a little bit of a smaller menu, going for quality over quantity right now to test the waters. So working with some of our vendors that have been with us for a long time, I know we have some plans to maybe get some CPR classes, first aid classes, maybe some self-defense classes going on. So lots of different things in the works, and they should be revealed in the coming weeks.
So how can people find out more?
Yeah, so a couple ways. So first, we've gone digital. So I know everyone's used to receiving a printed brochure for programs. In a world of trying to be more budget conscious and you want to be more conscious of the environment, we've gotten away from doing the traditional paper brochure. So we're doing everything with online marketing now. So the best way is to go to belmontrec.com, sign up for our constant contact email blast right in the homepage, and make an account in our system because we email information out a lot. And that way you can stay in the loop with what's going on.
What can you tell us, Brandon, about registration and deadlines?
Yeah, so again, the youth programs kicked off this past Wednesday, September 1st. Adult programs, we're looking to open up registration towards the end of this month. Again, it's a little bit of a, moving target with, working with, the schools. They're obviously schools starting next week. So we have to be mindful of, all the work that they're putting in. So information's coming out soon. Again, the best way is to sign up for our constant contact and we'll have more info released as we get it.
All right, Brandon, as we're approaching Labor Day and summer coming to a close and the pool closing, tell us how this summer season went.
Yeah, so we are wrapping up. Today is the Friday before Labor Day, and we are approaching the last weekend of the pool being open. So the Underwood Pool closes this Sunday. It's been an incredible summer. We've had one of the best lifeguard staffs, honestly, I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Not just saying that, these guys were awesome this summer. And we, just to give some numbers, we had about 1,159 resident memberships that were sold. And of those, roughly 1,100 residents, they checked into the pool 28,000 times. So the members that we had definitely took advantage of the pool despite all the rainouts and the crazy weather we've had this summer. So the pool's gotten a lot of use. It's been extremely successful this summer, and I'm sad to see it go. It's been a big part of our summer.
And now it's time to mark your calendars with some upcoming community events. Belmont will be celebrating Town Day tomorrow, Saturday, September 4th. Businesses on Leonard Street are organizing a fun day from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. with booths, music, fun, and discounts. The Belmont Media Center will be there too, so come out and say hello. Next Saturday is the September 11th Memorial 20th Anniversary Observance at 9 a.m. at the Belmont Fire Department headquarters at 299 Trapelo Road. Again, that's next Saturday, September 11th at 9 a.m. Also, Belmont Porch Fest returns next Saturday from 12 to 6 p.m. Belmont's Porch Fest is a celebration of community through music and arts performed by your friends and neighbors in yards, on porches, and in parks throughout Belmont. Bike to a friend's house to hear a klezmer band or host a circus show on your own front lawn. A map and band list can be found at belmontporchfest.org. And mark your calendars for the fall outdoor book sale of the Friends of the Belmont Public Library. The event will be held in the library parking lot from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Sunday, September 26th. It's time to buy new and gently used books to read this fall and winter. Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Belmont Journal. I'm Mike Crowley. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time.